Hello everybody. Welcome to the channel if you are new, and welcome back if you're already a subscriber. Today's video is gonna be a long one. So we've got about an hour, so grab a snack, grab a juice box, grab an adult juice box, coffee, whatever your beverage and snack of choice are, and settle in. Today we are going to be documenting my Orlando trip in my Kokuyo Jibun Techo A5 Slim and my Hobonichi A6 AVEC and my Hobonichi 5-year, which is an A5. So all the journals, all the places. If you guys checked out my Gatlinburg documenting video, it is very similar. It's just a little bit longer because I think Gatlinburg was only about 3 days. Maybe 4 if you really want to count travel and all that. But this is like a week. So it's more like 5 days, I think, Saturday through to Thursday. So let's just dive in and get started. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of address some product that you're going to see, and then I'm going to start talking about the trip. I'll interject, just to chat about more product as we change things. So this is the Kokuyo Jibun Techo A5 Slim part. So you're going to see me wrap up this week, which was September the 30th, which was my travel day. And then we'll head on into obviously October the 1st through the 5th, and we'll obviously turn the page. So first things first. So you're going to see that there was like a little bit already pre-planned in there. And that was because obviously I woke up that morning and I was doing a little bit of planning before I headed out. I really struggle bust quite a good bit getting out the door, even though I wake up at literally like the ass crack of dawn on travel day. 1, because I'm just super hella excited, but 2, I do like to get there pretty early so that I can enjoy a couple things throughout the day before it's like not daytime. And Taylor's flight landed at 5. So I wanted to have enough time mainly to try to stop at Gideon's because it was the last day for the September cookies. And I was doing really well until I hit traffic right outside of kind of like Disney Springs. Cause at the last minute I decided to change which Gideon's I was going to go to, which definitely ended up being a massive mistake. I was super excited because I got mac and cheese balls and a snack out of it, but I was super bummed that the line was like 4 hours, and I am getting ahead of myself a little bit, but yeah, it was just like a massive like clusterfuck once I got that way. I didn't stop a lot. I did take too long to do my nails. I will say that this trip I was way better prepared in terms of like I was all packed and ready to go way before I anticipated. Like I literally got to load a good chunk of the car the night before, which is just unheard of. I feel like I get a little bit better every year with the prep, but yeah, it was wild. I didn't expect to leave so late, but I did do a couple things like paint my nails and tidy up the house because Jeff was going to watch the cat. And then I used the super cute Smooth Shop sticker of the cat driving to document my drive to Orlando. And then you saw me like use my ruler to draw a line down to about when I finished. I put in little notes, and most of what you're going to see is documenting. Like there's not going to be like obviously a to-do list. And it's funny because there were a couple things that I did need to do throughout the trip that weren't exactly trip related, but super comical that I didn't pop those into the planner. So I did chat with Jen for a good portion of the drive, and then I documented obviously the Gideon's catastrophe. Quick note on the Smooth Shop stickers. I'm not sure if she's come back from maternity leave. I know I've said that in a couple of videos. I love her stickers, and I do have some of the washi, but again, I'm not sure if she's back from maternity leave or what her vision is for that, but that's any of the super cute cat stickers. And we're already on to the next week, and I'm yammering, but we have plenty of time and 3 journals. So we will get through the whole story and all the product, I promise. So chatted with Jen for a good bit, and then honestly, I was kind of just like enjoying jamming out to just various artists on my shuffle playlist. And then also I was listening to podcasts. I had watched a couple of shows that are podcast related prior to leaving so that I could just kind of binge a good bit of that. And then to add insult to injury, like I said, like it was just a really clunky day and very odd. I don't ever feel like it's that clunky. But when I got to the airport to pick up Taylor, I actually thought I was there early. And her flight landed early, which was great. But then all the garages were full. So you basically had to loop the pickup area like a nutcase. And her luggage was taking forever to get to her because she had taken, even though she never offboarded the plane, they had stopped, I think, at 2 other places. So she thinks that's maybe what, caused the issue. But like it was probably 45 minutes and I was getting a little panicky because due to the traffic before Disney Springs and that traffic, I was getting a little bit low on gas and that was making me a bit panicky. And then I was so excited to see her that we didn't stop on the way to the hotel. And so I was like, oh shit, like that's the first thing we need to do. Like the first morning that we're going to drive the car, which wasn't going to be until the second, but it was like playing around in the back of your brain. I'm sure you know how that goes. But then we checked into the hotel and I was at least smart enough because while I was at Disney Springs, I overheard a conversation because it did seem a bit crowded and I thought that was really odd, but I'd forgotten it was a Saturday as well. Like I've really come in a lot of the time on a Sunday or maybe I don't know. I feel like last year I came in on a Saturday too, but we didn't go into like Disney Springs or anywhere really social. I think we went straight to the hotel last year. And I think years before that I'd kind of gone in, and not gone to stuff like Disney Springs. Like I think Taylor and I went directly to Vivo that year and, City Walk is always kind of busy, but, also just a side note as to why my Apple Watch is on my right wrist and not my left wrist, is because it was like giving like my left wrist like some issues. It was really weird. Like my left wrist was like reacting super weird and I think it was just like on too tight and I wasn't taking it off enough. And let's be completely honest, I just need to get a different band that breathes better, but that's why that's there, so that I can still be tracking, but my left wrist can get a little bit of a break and get rid of like whatever is on it at the moment. It's like gross. Anywho, not the point. But I was at least smart enough to overhear a conversation accidentally about how crowded it was. And it made me be like, oh crap, I need to go ahead and make us a dinner reservation because I knew where we were going. And I'm really glad that I had enough forethought to be like, okay, I need to give us enough time to get there, like, and get to the hotel. So I went ahead and made a reservation and we ended up going to JoJo's Shake Shack, which is super stinking cute. And they had this thing called the pumpkin patio. So they had their patio all done up, really, really super cute. And like girly, spooky goodness. It was like pink and orange and like all the like soft pastel kind of Halloween spooky vibes. And the drinks were adorable. Of course, we swiped the little drink cards because one thing that you got to know about Taylor and I is that we're paper people. If it's not nailed down, we're going to grab it. That's just how it's going to go. So I swiped those for us and we each got a spooky cocktail, which was really fun because mine actually came in this like cup that had a dry ice stick in it, and so it like bubbled and glowed and foamed, and it was really, really neat. And then come to find out, I got to keep the cup. I asked very nicely, but it was like a painted orange coconut with a jack-o'-lantern face on it. It was so cute, and I'm so excited to drink all the spooky beverages out of it that I possibly can. I might have to stick like a glow cube or something in it just to make it fun again. But more or less, super cute, super excited to use that again. And according to Taylor, girl math, I got a free cup, which was really true. It was like literally $1 more. And I think I almost got something really similar over the summer from the Target section. So I thought that was kind of like the universe's way of being like, here, girl, here's the cup that you passed on and showed some adult responsibility and didn't buy from the dollar section. So we're going to give it to you for quote unquote free. Cause literally it was like $1 more than her drink and I got a free cup out of it. I'm taking that as a win. After that, that, we headed back to the hotel and went for some rooftop drinks, which I have never really done up there. And the cocktails were so good. We had this like drink, and I don't remember the name of it. I think it was like a London Fog or something like that, something fog. And so it was kind of like a cloudy drink, but it was so good, and it had coconut milk in it. So we were definitely on the like rum and coconut vibes for a good chunk of the trip. It was just a very like, I love coconut rum tropical style drinks. Like, I just do. I also love a good margarita, so I'm sweet and salty for sure. I do want to go ahead and say that most of the stickers that you're going to see me use are obviously from Coffee Monster Co. So if you have a question, please drop it down below. But literally 90% of the stickers that I use are going to be Coffee Monster Co., at least here in the Kokuyo Jibun. So just keep that in mind. And then the next morning, we actually got some very rare downtime. So normally I have learned over the years that it's probably best, now that I'm getting a little bit older, not to travel and then go straight into Halloween Horror Nights, because at that point I would be awake for like a million hours, because normally, like I said, I wake up pretty early, like around 3 or so, and then I drive. So we were both really tired because I woke up about 3 o'clock my time and she woke up 3 o'clock her time. And even though we're several hours apart, it still didn't change the fact that we'd been up since 3 a.m. our own times. It didn't really matter what time it was in the real people world. So we crashed pretty hard. But the next morning we actually had enough time to just kind of slow start. Our breakfast reservation or brunch reservation wasn't until 11. So we got up and I actually got to journal a little bit, which never happens. And I journaled in my 5-year. I just documented the travel day, which I am going to show you in that portion of the video. And then we went to brunch. You guys, oh, hold on. This is more important before I get into the brunch. Taylor brought decorations for the room. I literally could not stop laughing. I was so impressed, and I thought it was the cutest thing. She'd made these banners. So they said Halloween Horror Night, or HHN Horrors, which is hilarious. Obviously, we're not whoring ourselves out at Halloween Horror Nights, but one thing that I love telling people is that as an adult, it's really, really fun to do Halloween Horror Nights and Mickey's Not So Scary kind of in the same trip, because one is very adult and one is very kid friendly. And I'm not, I'm going to let you guys guess which is which, but, I definitely feel like Halloween Horror Nights has tamed down extremely in the last a couple years. Like, I would say, like, progressively it happened. Like, it didn't happen, like, overnight or anything. But I think back to, like, the first couple years I went, where there were literally, like, women in cages dancing and fishnets. And, it was definitely a little bit, Nightmare Fuel is still pretty sexy and adult, like legit. But as far as it being out and about in the park, I do feel like that's because I have started to see like younger crowds come in and stuff like that. But I also wonder if that's like been birthed out of just like various movements and things like that. I'm not really sure. Universal is really not exactly overly concerned with being, I don't know, I'm not going to say PG or anything, but like, I don't feel like, Universal knows what it's doing. It's there to be a more adult friendly park. Of course, there's kids sections. But again, Halloween Horror Nights is an adult event. Like, it is catered to that crowd, but I can totally see why they might scale back a little bit, in the last couple of years. But back to the plan. So we went to brunch and it ended up being a 4-hour brunch. We did not plan for it to be a 4-hour brunch, but we were just talking and enjoying ourselves. We went to Mia's Italian Kitchen. It was amazing. You guys, one thing I really wanted, and Taylor honestly was the catalyst for this, where she was like, I kind of want to explore more. And I was totally down with that. And now we're moving into the Hobonichi A6 size that I have. And I do have an AVEC. So I just wanted to take a quick pause and let me talk about product on this page really fast. because obviously things are going to move along. I just used some washi from my stash. So the super cute skull washi is from Paper Geek Co. The kind of flannelly looking grid washi was from One Two Canoe. Obviously, I'm going to pop down a Smooth Shop sticker painting her nails because that's really what a big holdup was for me. The Travel Day sticker is from a Paper Studio sticker book I have, which came from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to pop down a Wicked Cute sticker just because it was the same color vibes as the Pumpkin Patio. And I got those off of... not Temu, because I haven't shopped Temu, Shein. So I ordered a bunch of tickets from Shein. And then, of course, you see Banks up at the top just chilling. So I did end up making like a to-do list on the left-hand side like I would on a traditional day because, like I said, I did have some to-dos that day. So I just marked down a couple things that I needed to do, like pay my rent and what time I was picking up Tay and what time our dinner reservation was. And then I did some journaling about kind of the clunkiness and how cute the restaurant was and getting to go to the rooftop bar, which I had not done at that point before, even though I'd stayed at that hotel several times. So anyways, back to the delicious food. So Taylor and I went to Mia's Italian Kitchen because she was really into the idea of let's explore some just not just resorts and Disney stuff, but things kind of outside of that. And that's not something that I've done in a really long time. I mean, I remember when Disney Springs was not Disney Springs and it was so teeny tiny and it was downtown Disney and it took me years to switch over to saying Disney Springs. And I remember when like the most exciting thing to me was getting to go to like TGI Fridays because we didn't have one back home. So, I mean, I've come a very long way. But, I can highly recommend Mia's Italian Kitchen. I would recommend making a reservation if you guys are going to brunch. We were like literally the first people there. We were there on time. We did the bottomless drinks, which was a good choice, but we did choose to do the a la carte food. She likes to kind of snack eat, whereas I'll like eat a meal kind of thing. But one thing that I have noticed about me in Orlando the last few years is that I'm bad about not eating meals or eating lighter because it's hot and I'm like constantly moving and it's rather uncomfortable. And one thing I ran into this year, so last year I had a lot of nausea issues and a lot of tummy issues. This year, I was just running hot. I literally could not cool down to save my life, like at all. It was ridiculous. But I will say Mia's was absolutely delicious. She got a breakfast pizza. I got but we got a pepperoni pizza and they're so cute and little and perfect to split with someone if you guys want to try a little bit of pizza and pasta and other stuff. But I would recommend the brunch there. It was really, really tasty. And then because it was a 4-hour brunch, we did pregame like I think a little bit. I think we each had like a mimosa or a Bellini before we left the room. And then we came back and we did put moonshine in our coffee, I'm pretty sure. But we came back and got changed and went ahead and went straight to City Walk so that we could check out the Dead Coconut Club. And that is where it happened, ladies and gentlemen, the first bracelet trade. I was so excited. And the couple that we met were just so kind and so sweet. I think that the way that they structure, I don't know if I feel like it was them where they come and they stay for like a week, or they knew somebody that did that, I don't know, and goes to like HHN every single night that it's available. And I was like, Jesus, freaking goals. I think I would feel differently about that. And in all honesty, I could totally see me doing something like that if I was there for a week. I have just kind of gotten to the point with the lines where I probably wouldn't buy an express pass for every single one of those nights or anything like that. And it could get really pricey. So I could totally see how that would be fun, but no express pass. Like, I'm sure there's like I'm sure I could research it and find like something comparable to go multiple nights. And I know that they exist. I'm so used to going for one night and kind of putting all of my eggs in one basket. I'm also really shit at staying up hella late. So, that with Mickey's Not So Scary is more than enough for me. I'm going to take a quick pause before we get into Halloween Horror Night goodness to talk about this page, which was also the night that we went to Halloween Horror Nights. So you'll see me kind of laying down the foundation. So I used this no white space sticker washi that I had in a swatch from, I think that's her last year's collection, but I love that it said Halloween and it was in like fairly traditional Halloween colors. And then I hand lettered in Horror Nights and then used my stencil from Allie Brown. And you can pick up stencils like that on Amazon pretty easily. But I used that stencil to hand letter in 32 because it was Halloween Horror Nights 32. And then at the bottom of the page, I'm going to put a 9 in because this was 9 years of me attending. And then I actually number out my top, or I kind of in order listed my houses, which we can talk about in a second. And then at the bottom, I did like a keep out, and then I have this super cute like trick or treat character. When I saw that sticker in my pack from Taylor last year, I knew I wanted to use it in a Halloween Horror Night spread. So I saved it for this for sure. And then up in that top corner, you're going to see a emoji holding pizza and donuts because it's kind of tradition on Halloween Horror Nights to get pizza and donuts, and we had pizza in the morning. Typically we would have stopped at Red Brick, but neither of us were particularly hungry. We did have like a little snack at Halloween Horror Nights, but we also had pizza back in the room left over from brunch, so it seemed a little outlandish to buy another pizza, but we did stop for Voodoo because you have to stop for Voodoo. But as far as Halloween Horror Nights goes, I cannot tell you guys how excited I was to see opening Scaramony for the first time in a really long time because we were kind of late last year, and then we had hopped over or like walked over from Iowa Taylor's first year. So this was like the first year that we really like waited at the gates and saw the whole ceremony, which was really, really cool for her to see. And it was just lovely. And then we just kind of got in and got going. And I feel like the same thing applies every year. And I feel like it was the same when we had like our actual park to park day. We start so strong. Like you get so much done so fast, like before like the halfway point, and you're like, oh, I'm golden. And then you like slack off, and then you're like running around like a chicken with your head cut off. I do think that there were some reasons for that on the park day, which we'll get there, but I definitely don't understand how I still can't get it together for HHN. We did finish and we weren't rushing, which was really nice. We actually got to do a double run, which I've never done in 9 years. That was really cool. We did a double run of Unmasked because when we walked up to it, it was literally like a 15-minute wait, I think, without our fast pass. And we were like, no. And our eyes weren't adjusting yet. And I'm really glad we got to do a double run of that because that's something to keep in mind is that your eyes are going to have trouble adjusting. So as lame as it sounds, like maybe wear some sunglasses or something like that, like to kind of like already like offset your eyes a bit because it's still going to be pretty light whenever you walk in. Like it's a really good time to check out Scare Zones for details for sure. But definitely like if you can do a double run of, you know, some of your favorites, do that, or maybe do the ones you're not as stoked about first because you're going to miss some stuff. Like legitimately, I missed so much that first run. And then when my eyes adjusted, I was like, okay, now I'm seeing some stuff. But I'm going to take a quick minute to go ahead and run through my houses, and then I'll talk about, let's just talk about the product on... I'll wait. Okay, let's go through houses first. So The Last of Us ended up being my favorite house, and a lot of that had to do with the attention to detail. I got some really great scares out of it. I really do feel like everything felt a lot closer this year, and I don't know if that comes from, like not going in 2020 because it was canceled, going in 2021 when there was like the plastic, and then last year I just didn't feel that great. So maybe this was just like the first year like I felt like I was back. So The Last of Us really got me. I really enjoyed the artwork in it and the scares that I got. Universal's Monsters Unmasked was my second favorite. I think it's because I got 2 runs, but I also loved the classic elements of it. I loved that there was like a rose scent actually piped in. Universal is really big about making sure that like they create like the whole environment, which is what I love so much about the houses. And Binks is clearly back in the video. I think she makes a couple appearances. But I really love that they pay so much attention to detail. If you're a fan or you ever want to learn more about Halloween Horror Nights as a whole, there's tons of podcasts to check out as well. I'll try to drop them below in the comments, just some of the ones I was listening to going into HHN this year, which normally I wouldn't do. I would really let myself just be like so surprised. But I think in the birth of so many podcasts and that content being accessible, I really wanted to research as much as I could. And it was really funny because despite all the research, there was still so much I didn't do for various reasons. Like I said, the eating thing is a lot harder than it sounds. I could definitely see me like eating more maybe if I wasn't like so focused on getting like actual things done and getting my houses run through and all that. But Universal Monsters definitely took second. I do feel like they went really heavy on the Dracula. Like it really could have been like a whole Dracula house. Obviously I loved Quasimodo. I was definitely having a lot of like French vibes this particular trip. And we'll get to that when we get to day 3, or day 2, which is what I'm journaling on screen right now. But I was dressed up as Esmeralda one day. We went to like a French cafe. It was like a lot of French vibes. So I think I was just like in the mood. Oddfellows Twisted Origins was number 3 for me. I love a good carny house. I love a good spooky carny house. I think that just spawns from the year. I don't even remember what number it was. Oh my God. It's like 20, I don't know why 25 is ringing a bell, but I don't know if that's 100% right. But it was the year that they had the Jack Carnival house, and like you went into the circle room, and I've told this story 1,000 times to people, but like you walk into this circular room and there's jacks that line the room, and you literally have to walk in a circle around it, and you can see all the way around. And it is fucking terrifying because some of the jacks are real and some are not, and you don't know when they're going to move and when they're not. And it's very terrifying. So from that has birthed my like love of carny. Now, the juxtaposed to that is I hate clowns and scare zones very much like they usually do that in Simpsons. And it was very weird this year because Simpsons was like normal, like they had the games operating and going, there was no scare actors, it was just open. And I feel like in my heart it was because they still wanted people to have like a respite and a rest spot, and they had the Death Eaters back in Diagon Alley this year, which they've never done, and it was amazing. Oh my God, I hope they do that in years to come. It was 10 out of 10. I love it. It worked so well. There was so much going on back there with the Death Eaters hanging out and interacting with guests, and it was so good. There was like battles being fought. It was really, really, really good. And then Dueling Dragons. So Dueling Dragons came in at number 4 for me because of the history behind it. I rode Dueling Dragons, not the original, but I did ride it before they tore it down to be Hagrid's, and Hagrid's is like my absolute favorite ride now. So I definitely think that it was just great. And I think that the work that they put into it was fantastic. Exorcist Believer honestly could have been number 4 if it weren't for like the lore built into Dueling Dragons. Exorcist Believer was so good. It was like walking through the trailer because that's really all we had to go off of at that point. Now it's actually out in theaters. I do really want to see it. I don't do really well with in-theater scary. I like the option to pause or be on my own couch and kind of control the lighting situation, because even though I love Halloween Horror Nights and I am a horror junkie, I 100% will get the pants scared off of me and can't watch things in the dark. Next was Blood Moon Dark Offering, which I was really shocked that it fell so much farther on the list than I thought it was going to. I think because I loved Roanoke so much that I had it in my head it was going to be like a Roanoke 2.0. And again, I go back to everything felt closer this year. I really do feel like they've come back and they're like, it's okay that we're going to get close to you. And I really do feel strongly that was, a great house aesthetically, and it gave me all my Roanoke feels and vibes, but it just didn't hit the mark, and I just didn't get the scares that I had hoped for. Stranger Things was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So it came up, I don't know, maybe I don't have my hype list in front of me, but I feel like it came up. I know a lot of people didn't care for the fact that it was like walking through the show. It wasn't necessarily scary, but I did get some good scares out of it. And I did really enjoy the attention to detail. And I am kind of a nerd for that. I would really love to do like some unmasked tours in the future. But I was actually more impressed with it than I thought. Yeti Campground did come up a bit as well, and I really was a fan of, again, the attention to detail. I got some good scares out of it. I feel like the set design was really great as well. Darkest Deal was definitely a disappointment. I think it was beautiful, but I just didn't get any scares out of it. I really don't remember getting scared. I don't remember anybody getting me. I felt like it was just like a clean walkthrough. And that was kind of a bummer for sure. And then Chucky stayed at 10. I don't know. I feel like the only reason that Darkest Deal gets ranked higher than Chucky is because it really was beautiful. It was a beautiful set and so well done. And it also being not intellectual property was really cool. I love when I've gotten to the point where I really like the uni houses, honestly, more than the hyped up, I think they're called IP houses, like the IP houses. Like Chucky was like plastered all over everything as like the house to bring everybody in, and it definitely shouldn't have been because it fell short. I liked the concept, but like a lot of podcasters, bloggers, and YouTubers, etc., like I really feel like they hung their hat on that, but they did not perform. It just didn't feel, it was like, I don't know, it just fell flat. It could have been done better. But let's go ahead and the last thing I'm going to mention about Halloween Horror Nights was that I was so excited to get this can of ravioli from the Fedra station, and I get all the way through the line and they tell me that they're out until like the next week. So by this point I've already sat in the line. I'm like, what the fuck ever, like, and she's like, well, you're gonna get more ravioli, just FYI. And I was like, okay, like I'm not here to get full exactly. I was here to get the can so I would have a really cool paint can. So I might have to make my own Fedra can, guys. Might have to do that. But Halloween Horror Nights was a 10 out of 10 success. Like I said, getting to do a double run has never happened. That was great. I feel like we finished solid at 2 a.m. and we didn't want to kill anybody. Like we were tired. Some other things that I just want to note before I get into product for these 2 pages and the journaling. I do want to say that I was really impressed by the length of the Vamp 69 scare zone. It was really big. And then I felt like the scare zones did a really good job. I got some good scares in them. They were absolutely beautiful. I definitely think that Vamp was one of my favorites just because of how long it was and the interactions I was seeing. It was very full. I do really like the Oddfellow element that they laced through the whole thing. I've never seen anything like that where it was like a character evolution, and I feel like we'll see a lot of that in years to come because I do think it was really successful to tie in everything, because even if you're not into the lore or you're just going for your first time or you're just going to go, I can totally see where it still would have been wonderful. But if you're like an OG person or you've been going for a very long time, it's like it's a next layer. It gives the people that have been going something more to look forward to that isn't quite as normal, and it just felt like really nice to get kind of like a bonus layer for those of us who are just kind of always going. It was something new. It was really great. I quite enjoyed it. So going into October the 2nd and 3rd, let me talk about product on these pages first. So I stamped out Bonjour and Explore because this was our free day. And again, I was dressed as Esmeralda and we were going to the French cafe. So I popped down some simple washi. So I've got that super cute cafe Coffee Monster Co. washi and just like a brown grid. And then I used an Eat Out charcuterie board sticker at the top from one of my Happy Planner books. I cannot remember off the top of my head what the book is, but I'll definitely pop it in the description below when I do them. If it's not there and you're interested, just ask me. But we went to Rosalie's French Cafe. It was so cute. I actually opted to drive us. Originally, we were gonna Uber most of the day, but I decided that it would be fine because again, I wasn't eating and drinking quite like I had estimated. So I felt very comfortable driving, and I'm responsible in the element of I would have never driven us under the influence and like been in a bad situation. Like I 100% would have called that, but I did not plan on drinking enough to be in that predicament. I'm very aware of that. But like I said, I was dressed up as Esmeralda, and so we definitely had a French vibe going on, and we just kind of rode around. A good chunk of it was actually on the Skyliner, which was super fun, and we went to anywhere the Skyliner would go basically, but we checked out a couple different resorts, which was super fun. We kind of started out at Disney Springs after brunch. Obviously got to get the mac and cheese balls, and we kind of wanted to pre-shop a bit and kind of see what the offerings were for the year. Again, this is the third year Taylor and I have gone, so we've shopped pretty hard in previous years, so we didn't feel the need to really get a bunch of stuff. And I'll be completely honest with you, I only bought one thing the whole trip. Other than a tote bag to put the cookies in, I bought my Spirit jersey at Mickey's Not So Scary, and that was it. And that's the least I've walked away with in years. But one thing that I thought was really neat was that the bracelet thing worked like a champ. So right before Halloween Horror Nights, Taylor and I had both built like a shit ton of bracelets, both for each other and to give away. And it was so much fun to kind of interact with people, to give them away, to trade them with people. That was really what ended up being not just like a souvenir, but a memory maker. And I would recommend anybody do that if you're planning a trip and you kind of want to keep your costs low, but your experience is high. I think that the payoff for that is far more beneficial to your mental health and to others. It was just really lovely to spread joy, and especially giving them out to cast members. Like, honestly, it was so much fun to give them out, to cast members as we were getting on rides, off rides. If we asked for help, we'd give a bracelet. Like if we needed directions or advice or whatever, like, and we asked a cast member, we did that. So I think that was really nice. But we did take a little bit of time at Disney Springs to pre-shop, and then we took a boat to the Port New Orleans. We were trying to get the beignets, and we found the beignets, but the problem was that the beignets were freaking huge, and breakfast was amazing, but we definitely could have split it. And that was also the moment where we were like, oh, we're not getting entrees per person anymore. Like we're past that point. We 100% need to split food. And it was like 3 ginormous beignets. And so we made a pass on those. And then we took a bus to Hollywood Studios so that we could take the Skyliner all over. And so you saw that big sticker, and I love that I had one that had Beauty and the Beast because, again, French vibes. So I loved that sticker fit absolutely perfectly. And one hilarious story that I have to tell, because the woman that gave us these stickers told us about this person that brings their daughter, because I think she has like, I don't remember if it was twins or triplets, but she has like 3. I want to say it's like 2 or 3 brothers, and they are either twins or triplets. I can't remember that part of the story. But the sister gets what's called a Princess Day, and it's a day that mom and her just go out, and she gets to go do the Disney thing. And I don't know, what the itinerary looks like for them, but when she has Princess Day, she gets dressed up in her princess dress, and her name is Sophia, so they call her Princess Sophia. And apparently they had given Sophia like sheets of stickers like they gave us, And Princess Sophia was walking up to kids that were throwing tantrums and saying, here's a sticker, now shut your pie hole. And so then it became a parenting moment where she had to like basically go and be nice instead of not being nice. But I just thought that Princess Sophia was definitely my spirit animal in some locations, because obviously it's Disney. You're going to run into quite a bit of screaming children. It's just kind of part and parcel with what goes on there. But it was hilarious to imagine this little girl walking up to people and giving them stickers saying, shut your pie hole, here's a sticker. Because I feel like that's definitely a vibe for Taylor and I, like, okay. And we're sticker whores. So it was hilarious. But then after taking the Skyliner a good bit of places, we did head over to the boardwalk by boat to eat dinner at Trattoria al Forno, which I had never eaten at before, but they had chicken parm and we're chicken parm peeps. So we got there and split that, and the garlic bread was okay. It looked a lot prettier than it tasted, but half was just enough. And then I was kind of having like a little heat stroke moment. I'm not sure if this is sanitary, unsanitary. I really didn't care. I'll tell you guys nonetheless. I have found out that like the handicap bars in most of the stalls are really, really great if you're having like a heat stroke moment. Like lift up your shirt a little bit, put your back to it, and it'll cool you down. Worked like a champ. And it was that kind of heat where it was just like, okay, I'm uncomfortable. And then after dinner, we took a boat back to Epcot to take the bus to Polynesian, which at first didn't sound like the best idea, but we were on the hunt for the Hatbox Ghost tiki mug, which of course they didn't have, but we wanted to check anyway. The wait was hella long just to get into the restaurant as well, which kind of sucked, because it just didn't make a lot of sense. Like it was getting really late by that point, and we did have breakfast reservations at 10 a.m. the next morning. I thought that they were at 9, but again, we'll get to that. So we got to the Polynesian and they were actually doing Happily Ever fireworks. And I was so excited to see the Happily Ever fireworks. And sorry, I keep pausing, but Happily Ever After fireworks, and hear the music and see the show again, kind of from a distance for the first time in a long time. Because when I took Taylor, they were doing the 50th anniversary shows. So she had never seen them. So I hadn't seen Happily Ever After fireworks since I took my mom back in 2018. So definitely an emotional thing. Also, that particular full moon was an Aries full moon and had me feeling all the emotions. I was so nostalgic, missing Jeffrey. I was having a whole time with this trip, and I don't understand why I was so emotional, because it was not my 10-year, and I know next year I'm going to probably be a basket case to realize I've been doing this for a decade. But yeah, so we ended the night with fireworks, and that is the best way to end it. And so we took the Polynesian bus to Disney Springs and then just headed back to the hotel from there. Talking about product on these pages. So this is going to be the 3rd and 4th. I know we've got to talk about the 3rd first. I've got the super cute Harry Potter washi that just came out from Every Minute a Story. And then just some, like, I think it's called Messy Grid or something. I really enjoyed using that on both of these spreads just to pull them together. I had a super cute little Slytherin holographic sticker that I think I picked up from Five Below. I used an emoji with a bunch of pasta for Vivo because that's where we had dinner that night. And then I used the Treats washi from last year's Advent with Coffee Monster Co. up in that right-hand corner that you can't really see. And then in emoji eating pizza, looking so happy because we went to Sodo. And then at the bottom, you're going to see that really tired little smooth kitty, and it was because I was so ready. That was the end of the travel day. So these are the last 2 days of the trip, like the last full day and then the travel day that I am journaling about right now. But let's backtrack to October the 3rd. So like I had said, why we headed in was because we had breakfast reservations at Grand Floridian, which, you guys, is the most princessy place ever. It's just like you walk in and you feel like you need to whisper and be really quiet. And it's so pretty and it's so lovely. So we explored a little bit. Definitely take a little lap through Citricos if you're a girly girl, because it is so girly. Like a lot of the chairs have like corset back. wax, and it's just fancy. It's supposed to be kind of like themed after Mary Poppins Returns. I don't know that I really get that vibe. It just feels really like elegant. So definitely take a spin through there. And we got there early. Again, I thought that our reservation was at 9, but I guess it wasn't until 10. So we were there quite early, and we got in early, and we split an order of chicken and waffles, which was fantastic. And then she suggested hash browns, which at first I was going to hard pass on, but I love a good cheesy hash brown, and y'all don't skip on those at Grand Floridian. Do not skip on those. Delicious. From there, we went to the Polynesian. So it's worth mentioning that we were doing a monorail crawl. So what a monorail crawl is when you get on the monorail and you go to all the little stops that the monorail stops at, and ta-da, you're there. You get a drink at every single one is kind of the goal, or you get something to eat or drink or what have you. I did not drink at Contemporary, which was our last stop, which I'll get to in a second. But at Polynesian, we went to Tambu Lounge, and I got a magical star. I had a bracelet to give away, and there was a glow cube in it, so I had to get it. I'm the sucker for a glow cube. That was really nice. It seemed very crowded because the lounge is like right outside of like one of the bigger restaurants. So there was like a line and some crowding going on, but it was okay. And because we had been there the night before, like there really wasn't much incentive to hang around. And then we left there and went over to Contemporary because we had reservations at Steakhouse 71. Again, messing up the reservation times. I thought it was at 1. It wasn't until 1:25. So we did some exploring and then went to eat lunch. And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because I do want to say that when we were riding the Skyliner to everywhere, we were just checking out a bunch of different resorts. So we went to like Art of Animation, we went to Port New Orleans, we were at the Boardwalk for a little while, which does have a resort there. I mean, it was just super fun just to like spend time riding Disney Transport to see like just this empire that you forget. It's so much more than just the park. So I would really recommend that as a free day activity or something to do if you just want to do like some low, because it's completely free to ride all of this transport. And again, like the Skyliners go over Epcot, they go over various parts of the parks. So it was really fun. And still, we didn't even explore a fraction of what we could have. I'd really love to take some transport out to some of the Animal Kingdom resorts and areas because I bet that they would just be completely lovely. But we finished at the monorail crawl at Contemporary and we had the steak frites and our waiter was very attractive. So that also made it very nice, but he was very kind and we were very well behaved ladies. And it was starting to feel kind of warm again. So, we ate, but I didn't want to overdo it with a drink either. I was okay with all right, that's kind of all I want to do. Now we're hopping into the 5-year for me to document that side of the trip. So again, just like the Gatlinburg thing, is each journal planner has kind of its own vibe. Even though I'm documenting some of the same things, I'm documenting them in different ways. So this is, I know you got to see the September 30th page, which I did in Orlando, but I did want to show it on screen for just a minute, and you'll see it again at the end. I'm going to flip through everything so that you can see it as a whole, all finished and done. So one thing I do want to talk about really quick is I decided to draw out kind of the decoration banners that Taylor made that said HHN Horrors and had them hung up. And then she had also plastered Pedro Pascal pictures that she had printed out and a whole bunch of other internet images and kind of memes and stuff like that about being a Disney adult or Disney travel and just the struggles that are Disney trips. It was absolutely hilarious. So well done. She is officially in charge of decorations and that is a must. I really like how this banner turned out. I just used a black Tombow to make the banners themselves. I do go back with my pen to do the string just to contrast it a good bit, and then I went over the banners with jelly roller neon gel pens, and it did take a couple layers. Some you'll see on camera, and then some I just did off camera. I ended up only putting one of the Pedros on the page, and then I do like a good night bubble. It comes out super cute, and I quite like how this page turned out. And then as far as the product used on the September 30th page, it's just some cute washi. Like I used the daytime washi, some crepe paper washi, a travel day sticker, just like I did for the Hobonichi A6 daily page, and then a cute little emoji in the corner drinking out of a pumpkin because obviously it was a coconut pumpkin. This like super like alien very interesting alien creature that's a little hoish and on brand for this day is from the Shein stickers I ordered, and then I used the Paper Geek Co. washi with little skull and skull bows. I haven't put that down yet, and then just some purple floral washi I had, and I think the purple floral washi came from Hell of a Plan. So that takes care of product on those two pages, and I can go back to chatting through what happened after the monorail crawl. So after the monorail crawl, we headed to Mickey's Not So Scary, which highlights, we got Tron. That was freaking awesome. I met so many Winifreds. I was dressed as Winnie this day, and it was a freaking blast running around as her. We got kind of a Disney magical moment. So even though it had been raining, my feet were killing me, and I was like on the verge of pass out. Like I was literally on the verge of I'm going to pass out from the pain, and I needed to sit down. And so I just sat down, and I didn't care that the ground was wet and 5 million people had walked all over it. Yes, I did shower, don't worry. But I was exhausted, and the guy like guarding the rope, his name was Rains, and I was like, Rains, I need you to tell me like 2 minutes before you're going to move so that I can stand up or I'm going to get trampled. And he was like, okay. And then he came back and he was like, do you have an issue with crowds? And I was like, no, why? And he was like, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh God, what have I just agreed to? He ended up pulling Taylor and I up, and we got to like release all the people, which was really cool. But it also meant that we were like in front of everybody and got to move to the gate like a little bit closer. And when I say a little bit, I mean like literally like 2 feet closer, if that. But they were able to do the fireworks show, but they were unable to do the like spooktacular because the stage was so wet and they couldn't dry it off. It's not like it like downpoured or anything, but I mean it was enough to like wet everything really good. So that was the only bummer, but in all honesty, we got to see that show last year, so it really wasn't any different. So it was like an abbreviated show where they kind of came out and you got to see all the villains. It was like really quick and simple, hit the nail on the head, and then it was just moving along. The parade went off without a hitch. And while we were waiting for the parade, I got the chance to go get my Gravedigger popcorn mix that I had been craving. So Taylor ended up getting the Snarling sub, which was her Mickey's Not So Scary snack. And I ended up passing on the buffalo chicken hand pie and just going straight for the graveyard mix because we were kind of getting short on time. We had made great work of, again, the first half, but then we were struggling that second half. One, because of the rain, and it was kind of shutting some things down. And we ran into this the next day too, but the rain was definitely like making things a little bit difficult at times. We got off of Tron and it started sprinkling. So from that point on, we were also kind of like starting to tank. It had been a long day. The worst part of the day truly was getting back to the hotel though. I have never. So we rode the monorail out to Contempo, and we should have ridden it farther, like all the way to Grand Floridian. I think would have been much smarter, and then taken an Uber, but that is not what happened. And so we sat in traffic for forever. I don't think we really got back and settled until like 2 a.m. And then obviously I had to shower because my butt had been on the ground of Magic Kingdom and I was not about to get in the bed like that. So yeah, that was a struggle for sure. And I was very ready to take a shower and go to bed. And I'd kind of gotten like a princess nap. I say princess because I read Princess Sophia on the screen, but I'd gotten like a little cat nap in the car a little bit on the way there. and my feet had rested. So I was just tanked and ready to go. The hardest wake up of the whole trip, in all honesty, was that next morning, because we got home so much later than I thought. And the parks open at like 8 and 9 a.m. We went into IOA at 10 a.m. and we made absolute wonderful progress. Like, we were just like traipsing through. We did a bunch of rides that Taylor hadn't done before, which was really cool. We did like the Doom Drop, which was really fun, that she had never done that before. And we rode Kong, and she has a huge monkey fear, so very proud of her for that. And then we got to ride Hagrid's twice, and that's our, like, normally, like, we always try to fit that in. We definitely made it the first year too, a priority to kind of finish off with Hagrid. So she got to drive once and I got to drive once, which is just so much fun. Again, I love that ride just because I've seen it go through several evolutions, so it makes my heart happy. I did kind of scrap lift myself to create this page. I used the same washi, and the whole bonjour concept to just talk about how our day was. And then there's obviously a sticker to discuss here's a sticker, now shut your pie hole quote from Princess Sophia. And just me journaling about all the little adventurous places that we went to on the Skyliner and boats and all the transportation that we took. But yes, Hagrid's twice for sure. We did try, I had never tried this before, but you take the fire whiskey. We got it at Hogshead. So you can order your butterbeer and you can order the fire whiskey at Hogshead, but you cannot mix them in front of them. And note, pour slow, because if you pour it into a regular, it can cause it to foam, and it was a whole hot mess. Like, it definitely was a potions class moment happening in the corner of the Hogshead as we're cackling, because it's a hot mess. It's like, there's no cleaning it up. It was just a mess. We did our best though. So we got the butterbeer with the fire whiskey, which was definitely on the to-do list as well. Unfortunately, I feel like Minions Land fell a little bit short for me. It's super cute, but I didn't love the new ride, and I didn't love the ordering style of the restaurant that we went to that has the tots and like the Minion Cafe. I was not a fan of that. It just felt very clunky. So I was just not a super big fan of that. But the Minion tots were delicious. They were so cute. They're more like a fry, so don't like go in thinking it's like a tater tot. Just also, it's more like a fry. It just is in a minion shape. And then we finished off the day at Vivo. We had dinner reservations and we got Voodoo, which we do try to end off the trip, or at least try to get Vivo at least once, because that's her favorite chicken parm. I love that chicken parm, but I was very in the mood for like spaghetti and meatball classic, and it was so good. It did not disappoint. So that was that. And now we are on to the third page. So I just used some simple washi from my stash. The black one is from Simple Stories. And then the monorail is from No White Space Stickers. Then I hand lettered in Monorail Crawl, and then use a kind of little place setting sticker from Coffee Monster Co. to talk about all the yummy things we ate on the crawl, and then kind of the wins and highlights for the day. And obviously getting Grave Digger Mix, because that was like high on my list. And I did, pro tip, you can switch the popcorn that they use. So advertised Grave Digger Mix has caramel popcorn. I used the traditional, and it definitely helped kind of give like a salty element instead of it being like all straight sugar. So that was really nice. One thing that I did mess up on for Wednesday, October the 4th, was that it started to rain. So anything outdoor was starting to kind of shut down. So like some rides were struggling to be open, which was shifting a lot of things and crowds. Another thing that was causing a lot of rerouting was I had spaced and forgotten that it was a Halloween Horror Nights night. So there was Stay and Scream happening, and everyone was trying to reroute people into Stay and Scream or cycle them out. It was just a mess. It was such a mess. Also, Hollywood Rip Rocket has decreased their songs to only like 5. And I was so excited because I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to pick Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. That's going to be really cool if they like pick the chorus side of this. And they didn't. It was like started from the beginning. And so it was like not a rock out jam, which was kind of disappointing. But that was our last day, done and dusted. A funny note was that I ate almost all of my food at Vivo and then brought it back to the hotel room, heated it up, and finished it, which I never really do. But it was like I ate it to a good degree and then let my food settle and had like second dinner and heated up a lot of the leftovers from brunch, which was hilarious. Travel day. So let's talk about that pretty quickly because we are coming to an end here, peeps. Whew. It's been a long hour. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video and gotten some great ideas on how to document your trips in multiple planners and journals and ways, and I hope that I haven't bored you to absolute tears talking about my Disney, Orlando, Universal, Islands of Adventure, spooky excursion. So travel day was pretty smooth for the most part. So we just kind of packed up and headed to Disney Springs to get Gideon's because I do try to get that on my last day and stock up the freezer for the year. They have raised their limit. So it used to be 6 and then you would just start a new order. They're allowing that finally, but also they've raised it to 9. I was very proud of myself that I stuck with my traditional dozen. And that I did treat myself to a slice of cake, which guys, the cakes are amazing, but you definitely need partners or you need to split it up over a few days. I think it took me like 3 days to eat that cake because the frosting is so thick, but I got the key lime cake. And if you're a key lime person, you will love it. From Gideon's, we went to Sodo, which is also in Orlando. It was a pizza place that I cannot recommend enough. It was so good, you guys. Absolutely freaking delicious Detroit style pizza. And it's in the same space as a taco restaurant. Like they're literally like a one in the same. And I can't remember the name of the taco place to save my life, but they're right next to each other. So you can literally sit at a table and have food from both. Like kind of think food court style. So good. Don't skip it. I cannot wait to go back there. From there, we drove to my hometown of Macon, which is where I was going to drop Taylor off and then head home. So we had to have dinner at the Rookery, mainly because it was about 5 minutes from her hotel, but also because that's where my parents had their first date. It's kind of a Macon institution, so it felt really cool to take her there. Unfortunately, my anxiety was through the fucking roof, guys. Literally, I was a freaking train wreck because I had been in the car and with Taylor and like not really peopling that much for several hours by this point. I think it's like a 5-hour drive to there. And I was just like anxiety ridden because we were also downtown and it was getting dark and I just didn't feel comfortable. And I was like ready to just go. So I ate about half my food and then popped it in a to-go container and the wait was ridiculous. Like they were packed out for a Thursday night, which is just not normal. And then I dropped her off and drove home and I got home a little after 10 and heated up my food. But one thing that I was so like over the moon about was I came in and there was a note and flowers from Jeffrey. You guys, it was so cute. He had like this like Halloween vase for me and a little note and it just meant the world to me. I had missed him so much this trip because we really hadn't seen each other before I left. And I didn't think I was going to get to see him until Sunday because he had a hunting trip planned. And we did end up getting to hang out on Friday, which was great because they didn't leave early. But it was so great to like be home and squish my cat. And I was so conflicted like travel day and the day before because while I was really excited to get home to everybody, I knew I was going to miss Taylor and it always goes so fast. On the page before this one, the product I used is just some green washi for my stash, which totally gave me Slytherin vibes. The skinny washi from that Every Minute a Story Harry Potter collection they just did, and a little word phrase sticker that says time flies in the blink of an eye, which was so perfect. And then a little emoji, Minion, which is super cute because I wanted to talk about Minion Land, even if it wasn't exactly living up to my expectations. Then I did little geodots on this page and used a driving smooth sticker just to document like the different stops that we made, like Gideon's and Sodo and the Rookery, and then finally getting home. One thing I didn't mention is our stop at Buc-ee's, but as you guys know from the Gatlinburg trip, if you guys watch that video, I'm still traumatized. So I really don't want to dive into that too much, but like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I have been talking for ages, so I can't wait to rest my whole face now. Actually, I have a lot to do today. I am doing this voiceover at like 6 in the morning, and it's a work day, so got a long way to go. But in the meantime, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think of it and what you guys are up to for spooky season. I can't believe we only have we have less than a week at this point. That's so crazy. It's one of my favorite times of the year, and it goes so fast, and it makes me so sad. But I'm also really excited to launch into kind of full-fledged planner craziness and getting set up for the new year. And I can't wait to start sharing all of that with you guys really soon and letting you know what the 2024 lineup is. So much to go through. But we're just going to do a nice little slow flip, so you guys are going to see all of the work just one page at a time and not super sped up. Thanks again for sticking with me this long. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and again, got some really great ideas. But until the next time, I hope you guys are having great spooky season and looking forward to the holiday season with your loved ones. And I will see you guys next time. But until then, enjoy creating your own little wonderlands. Thanks so much, everybody. Stay spooky.